For those of you guys that are these people that are in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship, they want to sell $1 million of some kind of product, you have to think outside the box or do what the winners do.
To create $1 million in sales, you either need to really work like a dog and grind. If you have some sort of experience or some capital or some pull, then you should use that.
One thing I did when I was coming up in entrepreneurship, and I started in life insurance and health insurance sales, is
First million's the hardest.
what would you suggest that people should implement on their road to 40 accounts?
So the number one thing I would do if I wanted to make a ton of solar sales, and what we did in the beginning, is I would recruit a lot of centers. That's how you really scale in a business. Because the other alternative is you just become a Taylor McCarthy door knocking expert and you go and self-gen a bunch of deals. That can be done as well. And that's extremely profitable. However,
I don't think that as leaders or entrepreneurs, you should stop in envisioning success for your team, envisioning success for your leaders, but you should also not get emotional if they don't step up to the plate and they quit. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 100 Mil Podcast.
let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about how to grow your business in a direct sales-based business from zero to $1 million of revenue, the steps that you need to take to get it done. Because I think it's similar across really any industry. Solar, roofing, 100%. Insurance, a lot of the same actions need to be taken. Real estate, it involves the same type of effort.
For those of you guys that are in these people that are in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship, they want to sell $1 million of some kind of product, you have to think outside the box or do what the winners do. So, one thing I did when I was coming up in entrepreneurship, and I started in life insurance and health insurance sales, is I paid attention to how, this business works. How do you, what's the best way to accumulate sales? Mm-hmm. So I found the top sales reps that were selling 30 deals a month, 30 deals a month. That's doable in health and life. That's top 1%. So I'm like, what are you guys doing to do 30 deals a month? So some of them were scrapping on the streets. 30 deals a month, they would set up an RV in the busiest street in New York, and where people just walk and hang out and shop all the time. And they would come into the AC RV, they sell the person, give them a goodie bag, send them on their way.
Kind of like those blood buses.
Exactly. Yeah. Those Mercedes Sprinters, that's what they were basically. So, and it was a big thing to own a Sprinter, because if you did, then it guarantees you like 15 sales a month. That's what it was, if you parked it in the right places. So I saw people that did that. I tried that. I did that. And I was like, okay, I didn't buy a Sprinter or nothing, but I worked when someone had one, I worked at it and I sold out of it and paid them a little here and there on the side to help me or allow me to sell out of it. So that worked. That was out of the ordinary. And then I realized, hey, and this is for those of you guys that are in Medicare health insurance, because I've done, $1 million in sales and that and life insurance together. And the thought process was, where do people have the most problems? When you go to the doctor and you get a copay that's like $500, and you're like, what the heck? I thought this was going to be $60. Why is this $500? You're yelling at the doctor. The doctor doesn't choose. He's not choosing what to pay you. The health insurance plan that you signed up is why you're paying. It's because you have a deductible, you have this, you have that. The agent might not have explained it to you the right way when you got it. And now you're yelling at a doctor. That's not his job. He's not an insurance agent.
Cost is the cost.
Correct. Cost is a cost. And then the same thing at a pharmacist. Two biggest areas problems would occur. Someone goes to a pharmacy. Let's say they go there for their grandmother. They say, pick up this medication. They go pick it up. They say $300. And you're like, what the heck? I thought it was just going to be covered by our insurance.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Now you're yelling at a pharmacist, again, a licensed MD, and it's not his. He didn't charge you the money. It's your plan that's charging you that money. So I made friendships personally with doctors, and I made very good friendships with pharmacists. And I quickly understood that on a health insurance plan, a doctor gets paid per member per month.
Okay.
So, those of you guys that want to sell a lot of, any product out there, let's say if this is related to health insurance, I understood how a doctor gets paid. He gets paid per member per month if his name is on your card, So I'm like, okay, well, what happens every 2 years in health insurance is that health plans get cycled out. So every 2 years, they cancel a full plan. Let's say they call it the Green Plan 2. Green Plan 2 fully gets canceled. and they tell everyone you have to migrate or find a new plan.
They being the carrier?
The carrier, correct. So let's say Aetna or Blue Cross Blue Shield wants to cancel Green Plan 2. Now let's say if a doctor has 500 clients on Green Plan 2, that doctor is at risk of losing 500 clients per member per month. And they need to find a new plan that that doctor also accepts so the doctor can save his book of business. So when I quickly understood that, I went to doctors when plans were going out of business. And I said, this plan's going out of business next year. You're going to lose how many ever clients you have on it. There's HIPAA records, but they are allowed to share information with you. I said, share information with the clients that are on this plan with me, or when they come in, give my card. They're allowed to do that. It's HIPAA compliant, and say, hey, this plan is going out of business next year. This guy will help you find one. And I told them, give me a list of the plans you accept, and I will transfer them to a plan, then making me money that way.
Oh, wow.
So I learned, hey, the problems happen at the doctor's office, the problems that are happening at the pharmacist. Hey, if someone comes and yells at you and says this medication's too expensive, say, talk to this guy, he'll help you. So you completely pass the buck, Shane, over and say, it's not your fault. It's not supposed to be your problem to fix. So talk to this guy, he'll fix it. So then the talk to this guy got me a lot of sales. And that's what I call thinking outside of the box. And I mean, we'll get into solar as well. You talked about the creative stuff that you did that was way different in software. I had to get creative, and that's what made me a top 1% in the insurance industry. Now, what do you think about people in solar? What can they do to get creative, or what should they be doing on their run or on their path to selling $1 million plus? Let's say in what do you call it? Selling $1 million plus. I mean, in solar is, let's say, average sales.
It's all right. Maybe 25,000 EPC, 8 kilowatt, $3, maybe 25,000. It's probably 40 sales. Yeah, 40. It's pretty not that amazing to do. Yeah. It's like you have to do that to make a living.
100%. So I mean, and how many make it, how many don't? Because there's people that only sell one deal a month. So
first million's the hardest.
Yeah, 100%. So what would you suggest that people should implement on their road to 40 accounts? Because a 40 sales makes it $1 million.
Well, assuming that they've already set appointments in the past or know how to close solar deals. So assuming that that's already done, they have experience either setting appointments or they've learned how to close from another industry and they're just going to go right into closing. Mm-hmm. Same thing with software. What is in common with what you said and what I said? Other people's information, other people's time, other people's money.
Yep.
You use the doctor's time briefly, and the doctor's, not their money per se, but their data. Yep. You use the data that they had, and that referral is what made an easier sale.
And the fear of loss too.
Income, yeah. And then with the partners in software, it was other people's time. I would build the partnership and then they would go and make sales and I'd get paid from it. So the number one thing I would do if I wanted to make a ton of solar sales, and what we did in the beginning, is I would recruit a lot of setters.
Ooh.
I would recruit a lot of setters. Or if I was going to purchase lead gen, I would get a little bit of experience and I would pitch someone who has money, if I don't have money, to buy me leads for a 50-50 split.
Ooh.
Something that we've even done to help scale 100%. Our business. So that's what I would use. I would use other people's time or other people's money to create scale.
Yes.
That's how you really scale in a business. Because the other alternative is you just become a Taylor McCarthy door knocking expert and you go and self-gen a bunch of deals. That can be done as well. Yep. And that's extremely profitable. However, I think that a lot of people just don't want to do that.
Nah.
And I think that it's an extremely profitable way to go to market. I personally am I'm a little lazier than that. I'd rather find an easier way to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather get the same amount of appointments and train other people to knock.
Correct.
I think that's a more effective way, and it requires some leadership to be able to do that. It requires some skill to be able to do that. It requires some ability to convince someone to come and join your business or come and invest into your business.
Correct.
It takes influence in some way, shape, or form to be able to do that. Yep. So to create $1 million in sales, you either need to really work like a dog and grind, which you can do that. If you don't have the influence, you don't have the skill, you don't have the pedigree, the background, well, you're just going to have to really work.
Yep.
You're going to have to just grind and knock on the doors.
100%.
If you have some sort of experience or some capital or some pull, then you should use that.
Boom. 100%. You said that very, very cleanly. I mean, we've seen it far too often as well. People get distracted. I mean, doing 40 plus, let's say, installs in a year, you know, that's a good number. You know, that's a good number that most managers or companies are looking for people to do in a summer, or that's more sometimes than what full-time people do. We've seen full-time people get lazy with 1 or 2 installs a month. So I mean, the 40 plus, even at some companies, you win a trip when you do about 40 in a year, or so you get like a vacation and
It's
stuff
kind of the
like
number
that.
you need to make so you're not asking for advances and broke.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what you said was very ideal. What most people need to learn how to do is your first time doing it. Most of you guys in sales, your first time hitting that $1 million number or $1 million in sales volume number will probably be you hustling and doing it very hard yourself. Your second time or continuously doing it more in the future is when you get more efficient, when you're using OPM, other people's money to get leads, other people's time. You're getting more, you understand the industry better. You're training people. There's a lot of people that get lazy that don't want to do that. And every time you try to implement a new way to make money or make your life easier, it always is that, that long saying that we always say, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps. So if you're going to train 3 setters, now you took a 2 steps back because the time that you're spending with these 3 setters, you would have made more self-genning. But let's say for a month you trained 3 setters, you didn't do that good that month, and then the following month the 3 setters are just as good as you or half as good as you, and 3 of them make 1.5 of you as a person. So now let those 3 go out, and now you've multiplied your income. You did take a step back for that month, but then the following month you stepped it up. Or same goes with lead gen or OPM and that kind of stuff. So people do need to be very comfortable in understanding that when you're learning something new or you're expanding or you're trying to go further, the rubber band or the pendulum swings both ways. You are going to take a couple steps back before you slingshot, and you do need to have the faith and knowing that this will take me further. This will make me more successful, and not quit too early. Because we've seen so many people that we could say this guy would make $1 million, boom, quits at $500,000.
Yeah, well, that's 100% true. And also there's a lot of highly paid employees in the solar industry.
Yep.
They don't realize that they're an employee.
Yep.
They're like self-employed, kind of like when you did insurance. Yep. If you work by yourself and you don't have a team and you're not implementing other people's time or other people's money, you just own a very high-paying job.
That's fact.
And if you want to go and take a vacation, or you get sick, or you break your leg, let's say you're a good closer in solar and you broke your leg, and you're going door to door. That really sucks. You're gonna have to wheelchair around from door to door. If you're a closer, maybe you get in your car, you got some crutches, you crutch up to the appointments, and you got 5 appointment setters. It shouldn't affect your production at all.
Correct.
So what I've always been thinking of is, yes, the amount of money that I make is super important, but I like securing a consistent income over just like variably going up, going down. I may have an 80K a month. I may have a 20K a month. I'd rather just make 50K a month. Yeah. Straight across the board, steady. And the way you have a steady income in a business like this is other people's time and other people's money.
Correct.
Because you know exactly what's coming in. And also you have data over time. Like when I was doing software sales, I knew, because I had been at one company for 3 years, by year 3, I knew exactly how much money I was going to make from every partner every year. And if something happened with one partner, let's say I have like 6 or 7, all right, I lost about 15% of the business. I have to go out and replace that 15%. If everything's on you and you're completely by yourself, if something falls off, there's so much pressure on you to go out and replace that. Like say you self-gen a 30 kilowatt deal and that's all you got in the pipeline. You got no setters. You're about to make 30 grand on that deal. That deal cancels. You're screwed. Yeah. And that's like the worst feeling to have, knowing that you have nothing cooking. 100%. So having a lot of things cooking. So for example, like in solar, how do you go from $1 million to 10 million in revenue? I hate to break it to you, unless you're like top 1, top 2, top 3, top 4, top 5 on that amazing company, Knockstar, that Taylor has. Like some of those guys that sell like 30, 50 deals a month, that's like the 0.1%.
Yeah, that's true.
Amazing that those people do that. Those guys are making millions of dollars. They're crushing it. 99.9% of people aren't going to sell that much by themselves.
No.
And no matter how many coaching they pay for, how much they try, how much they learn, they're probably not going to be that excellent.
Yep.
Just like most people aren't going to make the NBA. And they're not going to be Michael Jordan, right? There's people that you have to study, you have to practice, you have to teach to get to that level. But some people's lid isn't that high.
Correct.
They're never going to be that high no matter what they do.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the top 0.1% of door knocking in solar, how do you make $10 million of sales? The only way you're going to do that is by other people's time and other people's money. It's the only way to do it, which is why we did this summer program. So if you want to maybe talk a little bit about the summer program and how something like that can grow your business in solar, and then maybe also how someone could do something similar in a different sales-based industry to the summer program.
100%. I mean, the summer program is something that just has been going on for over a decade in solar door-to-door industries for decades. So summer is the best time to sell. And even to just speak upon our experience, we used to come from a blitz environment and then virtual only sales environment. So, we've learned every year as the time goes on. We did a summer program last year in Florida and we had a little bit of less time to, rope things together. But what we have going on right now is a summer program in California. We have about 50 people confirmed that are going to be working in the state inside hoods in different areas in California. There's going to be housing for them taken care of. There is managers that are in place that are set up to be very successful and make at least 50 grand plus a month that are super pumped and excited for the opportunity that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having people that you can rely on and giving them the flexibility to grow into that position of leadership as well is very important. I think far too often as leaders, we want to help find other people that are also leaders, but we see the vision for people, but they can't see it for themselves. And we fall into that cycle many times is where hey, you should be a leader. That person doesn't see himself as a leader. Either we push them too early or they fail at the position. They get mad, they quit, or they go back to only selling solar for themselves and they care more about that. And then you have this cycle. And it's not bad for us entrepreneurs and us leaders or us people running businesses, right? It is our responsibility to raise the next class of leaders or raise the next, people in our organization. The only thing is many are called upon, but few, take the calling and actually walk the walk. So I don't think that as leaders or entrepreneurs, you should stop in envisioning success for your team, envisioning success for your leaders, but you should also not get emotional if they don't step up to the plate and they quit. So, we gave a lot of flexibility to the leaders that we have in California. We gave them a lot of autonomy. They asked us, hey, could you give us some funds and help us with college recruiting? Not a problem. They set everything up. They set up all these events. And now it's a program with 50 plus people.
They did a great job.
They did a great job.
So far, we'll probably get another 20 more.
Yeah. The way they had set up college events, the way they brought knickknacks and, Monster energy drinks and whatnot over there. It's done very beautifully. And they use the experience that they've seen in the past. We didn't demand or command them to do anything special. We said, we're allowing you to do it however you like. If you need our advice, let us know what you need our advice on, and we got you. And I think they did an amazing job. So it's great to see stuff like that and to create that environment for growth, because we've always said that in our organization is if you want to grow in an XYZ fashion, or if you have experience in XYZ and we don't, tell us what you need to grow the way you want to grow, and we'll allow you to win that way. And that's what's helped us a lot in business. Is it's helped us because we haven't just said there's only one way to do it. If someone's doing something and it works, all right, can you teach us more about what you're doing? And then how can we fuel the fire more on
Got to fuel the fire.
100% fuel the fire. So, scaling the organization from the million to 10 million plus or those types of things is, hey, this guy in Texas has something that's working good. How can we sit down with him and fuel the fire on that? Hey, this guy in California has something working good. Hey, this beef bacon guy has something working good. Now, how do we fuel the fire on that?
How do you fuel the bacon?
Fuel the bacon and then get the grease fire going there. So, that's some of the best stuff. That's some of the stuff that I would highly suggest for you guys building organizations, trying to sell your first $1 million in whether it be solar, insurance, roofing, whatever industry, pest control, whatever it is. to not get lazy, to use other people's time, other people's money. Think about other ways that you can get more business, and we'll see you guys at those top sales numbers, baby.